This morning, I figured we'd cover the shocking new allegations brought on by the YouTuber mom under current charges for abuse in Ruby Frank passenger's case. She has come out with some disturbing allegations that, frankly, just don't make a lot of sense. The judge moved to have one of the children housed in a place where no other children are because of these allegations. Tell me what you think.
Kids is so much fun.
New shocking accusations come from Ruby Frankie herself, the disgraced YouTuber mom now charged with multiple counts of child abuse. The Utah mother of 6 now alleges one of her children sexually assaulted one of their siblings and neighbors for years.
Eve has been amazingly well behaved for being in town.
But
for
you
like,
yelled at me.
shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know.
The bombshell revelation came last Thursday, according to the Daily Mail. Reports say the 41-year-old mother appeared virtually in Provo, Utah court, where she claimed one of her children started having problems at age 3 when they began looking at pornography. While Frankie didn't mention.
Now, just think about that little detail right there. First detail. She goes in for an arraignment. All right. This is not the time to be talking about your children in which you're being charged with abusing. Regardless, she goes in there and somehow they allow her to get on the subject of her children's behavior as if that's got anything to do with what she's there for. Of course, it may, in her defense, some way, whatever she tries to cook up, but this is not the time for her to plead her case. So she goes in there. She says one of her children started having issues watching pornography at the age of 3. How in the hell did they have access to pornography at the age of 3 years old? And how did they know how to access it? A 3-year-old isn't interested in pornography. Alright, I'm going to speak from my own experience because if I say it in any other type of way, it'll be misconstrued. But basically, from my understanding and my personal experience, you don't begin to have those types of thoughts and stuff inclined towards reproduction or nothing until you are beginning to hit puberty. So I call bullshit right there on her saying that she had a kid at 3 years old looking at pornography. And because of that, it's led him down this dark path, and he's been a predator in plain sight. And this is just now coming to light and being reported by this mother, this great mother, after she gets arrested herself. So yeah, apparently one of the victims of this look, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I think it's crazy, and if anything, this just brings into question her parenting skills already even more. Because even if it is true, which I mean, the kid is deserved to be innocent, just like she's being presumed innocent. But she's putting the focus on that, which I find is sus. Nevertheless, a victim supposedly of with her child came forward in the court, asked to be recognized and being able to speak on the record by the judge, was denied. But turn around and the judge, well, you'll see.
The child by name. She alleged her child sexually assaulted one of their younger siblings, which led to that child sexually assaulting other kids.
Okay,
Frankie-
whoa. All right, I didn't catch. So not only, so a kid looked at porn, or one of her children, and in turn, that child went and hurt supposedly other children in the family and people outside the family. That's what we're being told. So it's 2 children.
He said this all came to light back in May when the child came clean saying they'd abused 20 people.
Yeah, we'll hear that one more time.
Child came clean saying they'd abused 20 people, all friends, neighbors, and cousins. Daily Mail.
How in the literal world, if look, if any of that's true at all, this woman don't need to have not near one of these kids in her. I mean, that's my opinion. Obviously, the parental rights and courts and stuff like that will determine that, especially depending upon her trial and maybe trial and conviction. You never know. The charges could be thrown out. I find it crazy with all these crazy new allegations.
Reports that during this hearing,
There's obviously something going on.
the attorney representing a parent of one of the alleged victims asked to be heard, but that judge denied the request. The judge did, however, rule that the child would need to be, quote, placed in a home with no other children.
Now, I find that very prejudiced. Okay, I get protecting others. I get, okay, but here's the whole thing with our country and freedom. Those that require or desire or safety and security over liberty and freedom will get neither. You can't. I don't find it right that based off of this out of nowhere, while this person is being charged, allegation brought up. As a result, he can't be around any of his brother. You know, basically, this kid is being treated guilty before being innocent instead of the other way around. In my opinion, I think it's a diversion. I think it's a way to try to mitigate any recent alleged behavior or evidence of abusive behavior that's going to come out. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the judge's ruling automatically, separating the child from his family and everything. You know, what's he got to live with a foster family or you know, something until all this is litigated? You know, why isn't he being interviewed first? Why did they allow them to even bring this up at a fucking hearing that doesn't have anything to do with a kid being charged with anything? I mean, which could happen. I mean, you know, why wasn't this turned into the police? You know, I got 20,000 questions.
All this just days after Frankie and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were arrested when Frankie's
Exactly. Coincidental timing?
12-year-old son broke free from Hildebrandt's home by climbing out a window.
9, I'm on the address of your.
Imagine having to break free out of your parents. Come on. I can't fucking imagine that shit. I couldn't. I mean, then again, folks that raised me, they would have never done any crazy shit like that. The most anything that someone today might consider extreme punishment or whatever was being spanked. And in some places, I don't know if they made it illegal in some places, whatever. I know a lot of schools stopped doing it, and elected. And I tell you what, when they stopped doing that and started sending kids to ISS all the damn time, that's when shit started getting worse.
Your emergency.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't think I was ever abused when I got paddled. You know, I acted up, you got paddled. That's the way it worked. I mean, even all the way up to sixth grade. Yeah, up to like maybe fifth grade. Fifth grade, it was happening still in school. So I think about around the time I got into middle school, I think attitudes were starting to shift with that. And schools like weren't doing it anymore. It was about middle or high school.
Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help.
The boy ran to a neighbor's house asking for help. The neighbor called 911 and reported the boy looked emaciated with duct tape around his wrists and ankles.
We know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated. He's got...
Okay, if you've known there's been problems there, which apparently there's been reports and supposed dives or investigations into the resident's family, but nothing ever, I guess, corroborated or substantiated.
tape around his leg. He's hungry and he's thirsty.
The boy and another child were taken to the hospital. In all, 4 children were taken to the Department of Child and Family Services.
Does have duct tape around each ankle. He's not telling you.
Half of her children, she's got 8 children. 4 were taken to DCS.
White and said that there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional.
Frankie rose to fame previously as the face of the...
I just don't like that face. I'm sorry. I look at that face and I see, I don't see what's presented. What's presented is somebody trying to act like they're warm and affectionate. All right. Next thing I want to address, she is a Mormon, y'all. She's from good old, I believe Utah, or lives in Utah. I don't know. But anyone knows about Utah, Arizona area out there, the land of Mormon. Which I don't know too much about. Let me take it here. This is being brought up and alleged, like I said, during one of her first hearings. You would think, as a mother, this woman, okay, let's give the crazy hypothetical scenario benefit of the doubt that she's telling the fucking truth. You'd think that she would fucking have gone to the authorities while, in jail, what have you, and told somebody or told her lawyer to tell the court or something, instead of fucking, number one, bringing it up as something that she knows is more than likely going to be publicized. That's all I got to say. I mean, why would you? I mean, this is something that you've been told. All right, you don't. Kids lie. Now, that's a crazy fucking thing to lie about. I'm just saying, she could be lying about the fact that he even said the damn shit. Don't ask me why people fucking lie about crazy ass things that for a reason that's way out there nobody sees. I don't know. It's a brand new case, but we're definitely going to be covering it
The 8
on the other channel.
Passenger's YouTube channel, documenting the lives of her family, including her husband, Kevin, and 6 children. The now deactivated account
And I'm sorry.
was
I mean, in a way, I'm not sorry because I got to get a new viewer base and get away from these negative, malicious people. You know, they think that they're trying to do their content in a way now where they're really stressing that everything they're saying is for their opinion. Okay, you know what? Whatever. I don't care. All right. It's clear. Anybody with an ounce of fucking clear mindedness that can look at what you're doing and this whole situation from not just your fucking narrow perceptive viewpoint, but the whole picture. What you're doing is nothing more than trying to humiliate, aggravate, intimidate, demonize, smear, and lie about me and say it in the form of an opinion like you're an authority. I didn't watch your fucking celebration, fucking bullshit celebration stream. That's an insult to my friend. Alright? And my friend would tell me to forgive you and to ignore you. Because you trying to make a joke of his life, to make a joke of how I took care of him, or how his last days on earth were. Is fucked up. All you know, all that you have the faintest privy of information is the fact that you were around recording at the time and stalking me out of the fucking view, your view. You saw me announce and upset one day that he had passed. Near the end of his life, he was very functioning. He didn't need a lot of my help. I wasn't working full time for him like I used to. He had other obligations. I know you guys think he paid me or fucking paid me for nothing or somehow paid me for some fucked up other purpose that you try to fucking allege. But that's not true. My salary started out and then went down, and that's none of your concern. The point is, he was not left or found on the floor. He was in bed. He died in his sleep. And I was a pallbearer at his funeral. So I'm never gonna, because he was like another father type figure to me, like my granddad, but not really as much that. He had that side to him too, but he was more like a friend to me. a best friend, somebody that I could tell and be honest with about how I've been doing lately, and they wouldn't, you know, there would be the disappointment and stuff maybe there, but they wouldn't judge me as harshly. And they would be trying to help me. And that's what a friend is. And that's what they're trying to violate. Don't some people see that? Any of you out there watching this shit? Do any of you fucking see what they're trying to fucking do? Do you really see it? Or are you just fucking going along laughing with the fucking fairy tale? If that was your loved one, how would you feel? I get an email. Don't know who it is. I get some things sent to me and told what it is. I can't believe it, but I did recognize one of the things from seeing before from somebody else. So there was some credibility to what was sent. At least I think. I got on Instagram and I seen Fusion on the suggested was following me. So I followed him back. I messaged him. I sent him one of those pictures and I said, well, if that's not, just know, like, would you want me to copy you, Fusion, and do? But see, no, that would be in bad taste as a creator, right? But would you want me to do that? Period. But forget that you didn't even do the stream you did. Would you have wanted me to do that with one of your loved ones? Even if you pretended and got every 100 of your people to pretend, it didn't. It's not. It's somebody random, because that's how you would act. You'd try to keep up that facade. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Hell, maybe I'm not cut out for fucking cutthroat online stuff. Then again, I never thought I was, and I never came on here trying to be. That's something these people seem to forget. But back to this fucked up case. I did think and watch some few different clips about this last night, and I hate it. Like, I'm not even trying to be focused on the anger towards the mother. I hate it for all of the kids and their family, because this is so public, because they had a YouTube channel like they did. And there's a whole big discussion on that too. We ain't gonna get into that right now.
Once gives 2 million subscribers a look inside the life of the Frankie family.
You got to decide, do I want school lunch? Do I want to bring lunch from home? If I do want to bring lunch from home, I want you to pick out things that you're going to eat that are healthy.
I want to bring lunch from home, but like 2 weeks in, there's nothing to pack for lunch.
That's because what you guys do is you pick out fun things and then you abuse it and you eat it instead of coming home and eating a snack, or instead of eating breakfast, you guys are eating the snacks when you're not supposed to. And so it sucks for everyone.
Even before her arrest, Frankie was the subject of child abuse claims after she posted.
So it appears she's had a lot of parenting practices, like stuff that she's obviously come up with. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I'm sure not everything is negative parenting. But there's a lot of things that she's used, like concerning food, that's one of them. You know, some of this overbearing, like really, I don't even want to use the word strict, or because at that point it's abuse. It's like, you're not training. You're not, you know, I don't know how to say it. As a human being, you're not. It's not a fucking little monkey or something. And you wouldn't even want to treat a monkey like that. I was just saying, like, why would you? Why would there ever be a point to where they don't have anything to pack because even if they did overeat, or I mean, you got eight. I mean, come on now, you got 8 kids. I mean, I don't get it. Of course, we don't know what a lot of the allegations are, but apparently they like to bind their children or lock them up, which is just fucking. It's fucked up, but it's bizarre.
Multiple controversial videos, like one video about withholding food from her daughter, or a different video where she forced her son to sleep on a beanbag for 8 months.
What you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. And my kids are literally.
All right, I find that there's a good example of that extreme type of overbearing, like, oh, you fucking stayed out past curfew or something. You sleep on the floor for a whole fucking year, and you have to eat on the floor while the rest of us eat up here, or some shit like that. That is, when you got other peers and siblings and stuff, that's shameful, embarrassing. That's mental abuse. That's a lot of different stuff.
Literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian.
And then on top of that, and here we'll touch on the YouTube just a little bit. She's displaying and going into all of this online, putting it online where people can copy it, and it's out there forever, and then what happens as the kids get older? What happens as they get more around peers and stuff? They're already, some of them are probably in an age where they're on the internet and YouTube and stuff. I fucking hate it.
But I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
Together, Frankie and Hildebrand also created content, giving families across
food something to have this energy to give you the motivation and brain power to do stuff. So using food, I mean, that's almost like, that's what positive reinforcement dog training is. You use food to reward the animal when they do a behavior you like. I mean, that's fucked up. I mean, to try to do that with kids, I could understand taking away like a privilege or a game or something, but taking away food, withholding food.
the country counseling and advice about parenthood.
Anytime you think I want, fill in the blank, I don't care what it is.
And I'm not a parent, all right? I'm not a fucking parent, but I know enough to know that ain't right.
It's not love. Love is a gift that you offer because you have generated it inside yourself. And how do you generate love?
Look at her over there to the left, looking all blank faced and just kind of bobbing up and down, like, yes, we've generated love. Yeah, yeah. Them fucking kids better be fucking. I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, that's the type of shit I just imagine. She looks like she's sitting there agreeing softly, but inside she's having fucking evil thoughts. Like, her fucking, she creeps me out in a way.
Well, the only way to generate love is you use your agency to choose principles of truth.
After their arrests, Frankie and Hildebrandt were both charged with
And we
6
ain't even
counts
heard anything about this person to the right. You know, where's she fit into all this?
of aggravated child abuse. If convicted, that means they could spend up to 15 years in prison per charge. At a hearing on Friday, a Utah
Her charge.
judge ruled both Frankie and Hildebrandt continue to be held without bail at the Washington County Jail. Right now, they're both due back in court on September 21st. Reporting for Long Crime Now.
And they will probably try to, they will appeal if they get a private attorney, which I imagine they would. They'll appeal to the judge to try to get a bail hearing, at the very least, be let out on house arrest, something that she pretty sure.
Welcome, everybody, to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Jesse Weber. 2 women known for their YouTube channels on parenting and religion appeared in a Utah courtroom for the very first time on Friday. They're both charged with felony child abuse. Ruby Frankie lives in Utah with her husband and 6 children. Their YouTube channel, called 8 Passengers, had more than 2 million subscribers before it was taken down earlier this year. According to a probable cause affidavit, Frankie and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were both arrested last week. Frankie's 12-year-old son had climbed out of a window at Hildebrandt's house and gone to a neighbor. He was emaciated with open wounds and had duct tape on his wrists and ankles. Frankie's 10-year-old daughter was found in very similar conditions inside the home. Both children were taken to the hospital, while the other 4 children were placed in the care of Utah's Division of Child and Family Services. Both Frankie and Hildebrandt are facing 6 counts of felony child abuse. There have been reports.
6 counts. So that's that they're facing. I mean, that they're facing life potentially. Holy shit! No wonder they didn't get out on bail.
It's over the years that Frankie might be abusing her children based on what viewers saw in her videos, but it seems nothing came of these reports until now. Frankie often collaborated with Hildebrandt on parenting and
I mean, that might be a case of a little bit of overcharging. Let's take away 2 of the counts. All right, you still got that still leaves damn near a life sentence. I mean, that's 60 years if 2 of the counts got dropped completely and they got found guilty on all the rest. I mean, that's still a potential of 60 years on the high end of sentencing. I mean, I think 25 to life or anything over 25 years is considered a life sentence. So
videos. YouTube confirmed that it shut down 2 channels associated with Frankie during Friday's hearing. We learned that Frankie and Hildebrandt will both be held without bail for now. A bail hearing is scheduled for a few weeks from now. So let's talk about it with my
so that, you know, a few weeks from now, you know, after they've probably done a lot more research, interviews, gathered any evidence, you know, interviews with the children, etc. And they've got, you know, stability over the case, that they might end up giving them, you know, that they might end up getting bail granted by the court. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of felony charges. I mean, even with the lack of no criminal history, that's still a bunch of charges.
Co-hosts, my legal analyst, Terry Austin, Brian Buckmeyer. Good to see you both. Terry, I'm going to start with you. State has like a lot of video evidence in this case. How do you think that's going to
Oh, they got a lot of video. Yeah, I mean, they've been on YouTube. So the fact that she made a lot of these comments on her YouTube videos, I mean, this just goes to show you that, you know, I mean, they're going to be used. We saw how they tried to use the YNW Melly song that came out before the events, just because of its lyrics and the name. They tried to use that as evidence against him, which I think everyone can agree that was a reach. I mean, does it look good that someone made a song like that and now they're on trial for something? No, it don't look good, of course, but does it do the two equal one another? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe in one way or another, but I'm not sure it did. It obviously didn't in the way they tried to paint it.
Well, I think what the defendants are going to claim is, look, you have good video, you have bad video. You see, as we just saw, the children happy and they are playing and they are healthy. So I think the videos can cut both ways. I think they're also going to say no one was harmed. Now, clearly, we know that the young boy did have cuts and bruises, but for the most part, I think that they're going to try to say that there wasn't any serious bodily harm. They've been charged with, as we know, this abuse, and it's a felony under Utah law, and it's a serious felony. It's a second-degree felony. So I think that they're going to try
6 second-degree felonies.
to say, look, there wasn't that serious bodily harm. We didn't abuse them. We thought that under our faith, this is what we're supposed to do. I don't think these defenses are going to hold up, but I think that's what they're going to
The
say.
way that I read it, she's charged, 6 charges, and with respect to, just to give one, that the young boy, it could either be torture, it could be starvation, it could be emotional, developmental harm. So it's kind of broad about what child abuse could mean here with respect to the injuries. Walk me through the bail bond issue there. Any chance she could get out before trial?
I think it's more of a question as to what the finances are. I think this is a horrible case. It's not a homicide case. We're typically used to those murder cases where they're remanded, no amount of bond or bail. I think that there will be some amount of bond or bail. I think the strongest argument the defense would have is she can't see her children. She's accused of abusing her children.
Oh, well, of course not. There'll be an automatic order if she is released. No contact to any of the children. Probably neither the other codependent or some adults too, or the adults that might be, because they may be in the custody of a family member by the time if she does get bail and is released. He said about her finances, whatever the bail is, it usually, is 10%, but if they happen to own their home or something like that, because it's obviously going to be a high amount, she's going to have to, borrow or sign some collateral down or something to be able to get out.
She'll never be able to repeat this charge again. The court can issue restraining orders where she cannot speak to
put up her house. That's crazy.
or reach out to her children. Of course, they're out of her custody.
I feel bad for. I mean, I feel bad for the kids. I don't feel bad for her, because I mean, this came out of the 911 call. It's not like she got I mean, she's been accused. She's not been, and the kid, you got a kid that literally escapes out of your house. I mean, that's, that's kind of going to, I mean, if it goes to a jury trial, that's going to put an aura of bad over the case from the get-go.
bail or bond. The question is whether or not they'll be able to make it. I think there are some arguments there for the defense, but for the prosecution, the arguments to keep her in are very strong. The idea of the level of the crime and the strength of the case, I think this is an easily provable case based on what you just said, the broadness of what abuse is in this case. If it's not the injuries that we heard in the 911 call or what we're going to likely hear from the medical reports, it's just the emotional effect that it's going to have on these children. I'm thinking we're going to hear from social workers who interview these children afterwards and hear, wow, these are not healthy, normal children as we expect them to be in the state of Utah. This is something that has happened to these children for a long period of time, and they're really emotionally damaged.
And she can't say she didn't know what was happening because my understanding is she filmed a YouTube video in that house like 2 days prior when the children were there.
Oh, that's right. She knew what was going on. They collaborated and did the same thing to the children.
That's the allegation. We're going to talk more about it because still ahead on Long Crime Daily, there is lots more to talk about in this case. And we got our hands on the 911 phone call that a neighbor made when one of Frankie's emaciated children showed up on his doorstep. Stay with us. And welcome back to Long Crime Daily, everybody. Our coverage of the YouTube mom charged with child abuse continues now as we hear the 911 phone call that first alerted police to the most recent allegations against her. Correspondent Sierra Gillespie has all the details.
This kid has obviously been, I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
We're taking a closer look at the case of Ruby Frankie, the YouTuber mom now accused of child abuse. For the first time, we're hearing the chilling 911 call and emergency radio communications after Frankie's son escaped from her business partner's home and was found emaciated with open wounds.
So she escaped from the friend's home. Oh, okay.
He asked us to call the police. So he's very afraid.
That 911 call came in just before 11 a.m. on August 30th. A neighbor in Ivins, Utah, a remote area about 4 hours south of Salt Lake City, reported a 12-year-old boy showed up at his house asking for help.
911, the address of your emergency. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help.
The caller then references problems at their home before explaining the boy arrived looking emaciated with duct tape around his wrists and ankles.
We know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated. He's got tape around his legs. He's hungry and he's thirsty.
Officials later determined the boy's mother is Ruby Frankie, the YouTuber behind the 8 Passengers channel. Once boasting more than 2 million subscribers, the channel is now defunct after being terminated.
My gosh, you guys having kids is so much fun.
On her YouTube channel, Frankie documented the lives of her 6 children and husband, Kevin, recording videos about everything from home renovations to back to school shopping. But Frankie's strict mothering tactics came under fire long before her arrest.
And my kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
In the past, Frankie...
Yeah. You're the abusive Karen.
It addressed critics, saying she wouldn't stop mothering her way.
Online who hate me, who would like to cancel me, who would like to see me either burn in hell, as I have told, or disappear off the face of the earth. And I'm not going anywhere.
First responders also mentioned...
Well, that didn't age well, did it? You went to jail.
Jody Hildebrand, whose home Frankie's son escaped from. Frankie and Hildebrand...
Then this bitch. The home from which the kid comes out with duct tape and shit. What kind of wicked shit are you into, woman?
Have a past relationship collaborating on parenting videos. Reporting for Long Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Let's talk about that 911 phone call, Brian. I have to imagine if there's a trial that's coming in there, How bad is that for the defense?
Oh, Jesse, it's not just the playing of the 911 call. It's the fact that to get it into evidence, you'll probably get the man on that phone describing, what did you see? What did you feel? Why did you use the word hunger or duct tape or like all of that? What made you think that this was going on, that the child was being starved? And I can only imagine, and I can kind of hear it in the man's voice.
What do you mean by past trouble or troubles in the house?
Kind of unsteady. Maybe he's a father. Maybe he's thinking this child came to me. Maybe there's a sense of guilt. He said, we've had problems with these people in the past. The way that that witness will describe that 911 call, I think if it is not the nail in the coffin, it is definitely one of many that could be in this case.
Usually they start these cases with the 911 phone call on that person. Terry, a lot of people were critical of her for a long time. People were suspecting there was abuse. I think about the Department of Child and Family Services, and I think about whether or not they're going to have a role. Would they be held legally responsible at all? What do you think?
I think the answer is
No.
yes. I mean, the good news is these children survived.
It depends on how many times they were notified and what the outcome and action was, if any.
Times we see cases like this where they're not rescued in time.
If they were reported if she was reported 10 times to DCS and they inconclusive every time, yeah, that might show some negligent behavior on that part.
And they don't survive. Here they survive. So I think that's working in favor of the department. But you see, as we just heard from Brian, the desperation of this neighbor on that 911 call. He is saying the children are emaciated. This has been going on for a long time. People have complained. The thing I don't understand, Jesse, is they canceled the show. Why didn't, at that point in time, the department come in and say something is going on here? It was enough for the network to notice.
They had to have known. I would imagine that some of them reports to DCS, if any, might have been made from some people on YouTube. So I would have thought that they would have had to have at least known that there were videos that, and DCS could have went online and looked at those.
Why not for the department to notice as well? And so I do think there could be a claim against them. The claim that all these people have complained, and if they had intervened sooner, perhaps these, abuse accusations could not be made because they would have saved them beforehand. So I think there's a possibility.
What I take away from it too is that RF, this is the young boy, these are the initials that he went by in the affidavit, knew enough to know this was wrong. Because sometimes we see in these cases the children are manipulated. They don't realize what it's wrong. Enough to run to a neighbor for help and ask that, he's starving, he's hungry, he's thirsty, and to call authorities. I think that's significant.
All right, we'll check out one more video about this disturbing case. This is from the affidavit.
I'm Jesse Weber. Let's delve back into the Ruby Frankie case out of Utah. Just this absolutely disturbing story of a 41-year-old wife and mother of 6 who has now been charged with child abuse. In fact, she has been officially charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse. Now, that name, Ruby Frankie, may sound familiar because Frankie was a popular YouTuber. Yeah, she and her husband, they launched this YouTube channel called 8 Passengers back in 2015. It was all about the couple and their children and their lives. Very popular. I believe it had over 2 million subscribers.
I gotta say, this is a algorithm genre. I've never gotten into YouTube and never heard about this channel.
It focused on parenting and homeschooling. And it was interesting because Frankie and her husband are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And she also appeared on videos with her business partner, Jody Hildebrand, who founded a life counseling organization known as Connections, previously known as Moms of Truth. Here's a snippet.
Welcome back to Connections. I'm Ruby Frankie.
I'm Jody Hildebrand.
Looks like she's eaten about a third or maybe about a half almost of Ruby's food. If they would eat their correct proportions, they would be equal proportionally sized. I'm sorry I had to make that joke because they're fucking foul, man.
And today is part 3 of a series that we
I
are
mean, they're innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But, I'm not a fan.
doing all about empowering you as parents. You are not going to get this kind of empowerment. You're not going to give this kind of permission anywhere else. And so today we are going to be talking about where we left off, which is, am I a controlling parent? Am I a hovering helicopter parent? Am I a Karen? Those are terms that have been put out.
Yes. The answer is yes, and she's going to try to deflect starting now.
There by people who are fearful of control.
If you have a perception, my son comes home and says, so and
Yeah, they're into control, y'all. They're into control.
so was bullying me, and I am a parent that I don't know about principles of truth, I may go to, well, I'm
Principles of truth. That sounds like a new agey way of just saying principles.
protect them, and I'm going to go over and where's that kid that hit you? And I'm going to go hit him. I've seen parents do that. Or I'm
Who? You need to report that shit.
going to go to the school.
Matter of fact, I probably would, if I was a parent, I may have laid them out.
And demand that my child is no
Not
longer
the kid, the parent that did that shit. She just tried to say that she knows parents that would go and hit a child back after hitting their own. Man, my dad never said some shit like that. He told me to fucking hit him back.
class, no longer in the same school with this particular person. And, depending on what the kid did, that might be absolutely reasonable.
And Jody Hildebrandt has also
Whoa,
been
whoa,
arrested
whoa, whoa,
and
whoa,
charged
whoa,
with
let's
these
run
same
that back.
crimes. Well, now newly released
person, and depending on school, and demand that my child is hit him. I've seen parents do that. Or I'm going to go to the school and demand that my child is no longer in the same class, no longer in the same school with this particular person. And depending.
Well, I can tell you this. The changing schools, sometimes that does work because I did have times at school where I didn't have any issue. I actually had a good time compared to the others. So, I mean, that could sometimes be it, but I mean, it's kind of a bigger issue than that, I think.
Depending on what the
Bigger issue that hadn't been addressed needs to be addressed on a bigger scale.
kid did, that might be absolutely reasonable.
and Jody Hildebrandt has also been arrested and charged with these same crimes.
Wonder why.
Well, now newly released documents provide more context of what happened here. And I want to go through what we think are six really disturbing details from these documents. So let me bring in a very special guest right now to talk a little bit more about this. I'm joined by former FBI agent and attorney Bobby Chacon. Bobby, thank you so much for taking the time and coming back here on Sidebar. We always appreciate it.
Great to be here, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, let's start with number one, the affidavit of probable cause. So we're going to start with, this is the first one. RF, who is this 12-year-old boy, this is what it says. He climbed out of the window of an Ivins residence. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ivins residence belonging to Jody Hildebrandt and ran to a neighbor's home. RF knocked on the door requesting food and water. The neighbor observed duct tape on RF's ankles and wrists and contacted law enforcement. Upon arrival, law enforcement observed the wounds and the malnourishment of RF to be severe, and he was transported to the St. George Regional Hospital. RF was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment. Now, Bobby, we knew some of those details or had an idea of those details before this came out. This, I think, crystallized it even more. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it sounds like a firsthand account of the responding officers when they got to the neighbor's house who called the police and they see this child. They start questioning the child. The neighbor clearly saw the duct tape and clearly knew there was a problem. And kudos to the neighbor for calling the police sometimes neighbors can be reluctant to do that. They might try to return the child to the home. And thank goodness in this case, the neighbors saw enough of what looked like disturbing evidence on the child of abuse that they called the police. The police saw the abuse and took action. Thankfully, in this case, because it could have ended up a lot worse.
All right, we want to thank Morgan & Morgan, the largest injury law firm in America, for sponsoring this video. Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Have you been injured in a car accident? Well, we're here to fight for you. That's not what they're about, okay? They have completely modernized the personal injury claim process by allowing you to submit your claim, upload documents, and talk with your whole legal team. Yes, team, all on your phone. That's it. Super easy. Oh, and you only pay them if you win. There's no upfront fee. So it's not a surprise that over 3 million people call them every year, right? If you're injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan and submit a claim in 8 clicks or less at www.forthepeople.com/law and crime, or by dialing pound law. That's pound 529 on your phone. Now, there's another victim here, okay? EF, 10-year-old girl believed to be the daughter of Ruby Franke. She was found at Jody Hildebrandt's residence after RF, her brother, made contact with the police. EF was found to be malnourished, initially refused medical treatment, but after approximately 4 hours, EF agreed that Jody Hildebrandt was found to be in the direct care of her, and she was determined to be malnourished. She was taken to the St. George Regional Hospital. So you have another child who was kept in similar condition. What does that tell you that we have now multiple victims?
Well, it's a pattern of behavior that I would anticipate if there are more children in that household, there are more abuse. I think each child is being abused. I mean, we do sometimes see one child out of a number of children being abused specifically, but in this case, much like the Turpin case that happened actually out here in California, not far from where I live, you have multiple children all being abused in similar fashion. And what tells me, when you say that the 4 hours that it took the cops to convince this kid, to kind of be honest and say who's taking care of you, the parents have a hold over these kids. They have that kind of, influence over the kid, and he didn't want to admit it. And so that makes these cases even tougher. Thankfully, for the 12-year-old you mentioned earlier, the first victim that actually escaped the house and went to a neighbor's. So how long has this been going on? And it's a pattern of abuse. If there are more children in that house, I would expect to find similar abuse on those children as well.
It's disturbing to hear that this young boy got out, snuck through the window, was begging for food and water, and the restraints that were used. That I find concerning as well, the level of restraint. And I'm not sure what that tells us in terms of how long they might have been tied up, where they were tied up, why they were restrained. But you're kind of getting a picture that we didn't quite get before, right?
Well, absolutely. And even in the 2 cases you just mentioned, you have a 10-year-old who was compliant with the parents, who it took 4 hours for the police to convince to be honest with them. But you have the 12-year-old who actually, broke free from his restraints and climbed out a window. So I think that as the children get older, we saw this in the Turpin case, as the children get older, they start realizing this isn't normal and I need to get out of here and get help. But when they're younger, they don't see that because this is the only life they've known. So this is normal for them. This is not abnormal. As the children get older, that realization kind of comes more into focus, and then they take action. In this case, the 10-year-old didn't take action, the 12-year-old did. So it may have been an aging process that a 12-year-old, this is not normal, I need to get out of here.
And we're going to get to more points in a minute, but I just focus on something with this. How reliable are the children as narrators of what happened, or potential witnesses in a criminal trial against the other?
Well, that's a good point. And I think there are very good specialists out there now that help prosecutors and help investigators. Look, if I had a case like this, I would not be interviewing these children myself. I would be bringing in experts that are expert in interviewing children and getting to the truth with children, because, children are brainwashed in effect by their parents in a household like this. And so I think that they're not reliable initially. And as you saw in this case, it took 4 hours for the police to get the child to even that Jody was his caretaker. So I think that they can be reliable, but it's a process. It's a process that's understandable, that should be turned over to experts that are interviewing children and stuff. So I think they can get there, but initially you're going to be dealing with a lot of psychological trauma on these children, and that affects their memory, it affects their recall, it affects their initial testimony.
Let's go to the third point, because in both of these examples, both of these children, both of these narratives, the officer added that Ruby Frankie was seen on a YouTube video filmed in Jody Hildebrand downstairs, which was posted 2 days before that happened. And this is why investigators believe that Frankie was in the home and had knowledge of the abuse, the malnourishment, and the neglect of both children. And so when we talk about potential for Ruby Frankie, and maybe Ruby Frankie throwing blame on Jody Hildebrand, that I think is really important.
Yeah, this takes it away from being like a kidnapping where Jody kidnapped these children and started abusing them into a kind of a conspiracy to do this. I mean, these women seem to be in this together. They did have their own social media business together. I think that Ruby Frankie it's reported that she threw her husband out of the house last year, so she separated from the father of these children, and apparently it looks like May moved in with her business partner because the children were clearly being held captive at that house, at Hildebrand house, where, who knows, Frankie was possibly a resident.
I am curious of what a defense could be, because in these kind of cases, it's almost open and shut. You're not dealing with an adult victim who can make decisions on their own, or consent to things, or walk around or text. You have a victim who is in the care and custody of adults, and when that child or children are found to be abused, how does Frankie or Hildebrand escape liability here? I don't see it. Do you see a united front where they're both going to be defending, or one is going to point the finger at the other, even though, again, based on the current facts, it's going to be very difficult to say one didn't know what the other was doing?
Yeah, I would have to think that they have to point the finger at each other because the abuse is unmistakable and undeniable. And so I think that each defense is going to have to point the finger at the other. Hildebrand's going to say, well, Jody was the mother, Frankie was the mother, and so she had full control of her children, so she was really responsible for this, and I was just kind of following along. And then the mother will look at Hildebrand and say, well, she was in Bengali, I was under her spell, and I was doing what she was telling me to do, and that's what happened. So I think you're right. I think the second option, the defense with them pointing the finger at each other, is probably the likely way to go.
Let's go to the fourth detail from these newly released documents. Miss Frankie requested a lawyer and did not speak with us, meaning did not speak with authorities when she was ultimately apprehended. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's the first huge red flag. That's usually a red flag in almost any case. But when it's your own children and the allegation is abuse, I mean, you'd want, if you're not involved in it, in criminal liability, I mean, you would want to talk to the police, get to the bottom of it, find out what happened, find out if your children are okay, find out where they are, try to see them. The fact that you lawyer up immediately, I mean, that's a huge red flag for somebody like me when you're trying to get to the bottom of it, and you would think a parent would go to the ends of the earth to protect their child and to find out what happened to their child, and go and try to get to the person that did this abuse. But when they lawyer up like that, I would think that they immediately knew that they were in some kind of legal trouble.
That means that we're probably not going to get an interrogation video, right? Like she didn't speak with authorities.
Most likely, if they have a lawyer already, if the lawyer's doing his job, and I hate to say it, but if the lawyer's doing his job, a good defense attorney, his or her job, but a good defense attorney would not submit that client to an interview or interrogation of the police at this point.
So as we talk about these details that have been revealed in these newly released documents, I want to talk about the fifth and sixth points. Number 5 is the fact that Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand, they've both been charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse. And let's talk right now about the charges with respect to RF. Okay, so again, this young boy. Count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony in that the defendant intentionally or knowingly inflicted upon a child, RF, serious physical injury, or having the care or custody of such child caused or permitted another to inflict serious physical injury upon said child, and such serious physical injury includes physical torture. What do you make of that charge?
Well, I mean, they're looking at probably the restraints, and they could have found other things on a child's body. I've been involved in cases where you've had burn marks on a child's body, things like that, patterns of wounding and healing, and that's evidence of torture, not just the binding. You could have other signs of torture, unfortunately, and often we see that in the emergency room. Will tell us you have both fresh wounds and you have healing wounds that happened previously in the same area or in the same pattern and stuff. And so I would imagine that some of the doctor's reports might indicate that there's a pattern of bruising and healing that has taken place on these child's bodies.
Could it also be something that happened to him? That
Sure,
constitutes
absolutely.
torture?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be that. I mean, oftentimes these children are not very talkative, although in this case they seem to have talked to the police, to a good degree. But yeah, it could be that, and it could be a combination of the two.
By the way, the part where it's not only if you do it, right, but if you you have the care or custody of the child, but if you've caused or permitted another to inflict the injury, that's how they get her, I guess, if it was Jody Hildebrand who was doing it, but under the direction or supervision or consent of Ruby Franke, right?
Right. Like if Jody's doing the abuse, but they are in the care and custody of their mother, Franke, then she's actually liable under the law as well. Even though she may have not laid a hand on the child, she can still be charged because she allowed it to happen because those kids are in her care and custody.
Let me go more to the charges with respect to RF. Again, for me, it's notable how specific it is and how broad we talk about child abuse, because another charge, it says the same exact language, but when we talk about what child abuse is, then they go, and such serious physical injury includes any conduct that results in starvation or failure to thrive or malnutrition that jeopardizes the child's life. So now she's being charged very specifically. One is torture. Now it's malnutrition. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so the statute actually separates out those two physical acts, right? One is, if you harm a child just by striking a child or something like that, that's a physical abuse of a child. But also, they've actually carved out a separate avenue of physical abuse called, malnourishment. If you withhold food, where to the point where you're physically harming the child, you can actually not touch the child and physically harm them by withholding food. And these are usually carved out for children and elderly. You see it sometimes in elder care law. You see it in child abuse law, because withholding food at certain key points in our lives can actually cause us great physical harm, and a child is in that category. So I think that they're looking at a piece of a statute that specifically mentions this kind of abuse towards a child, resulting in that physical harm, failure to thrive. Your body is growing at certain points, and if you don't get the nourishment and nutrition you need in that phase of your life, you'll forever be damaged by that. And so the law recognizes that, and so they've been charged with that.
Yeah, I mean, starvation is horrible for anybody, but particularly a child in that developmental stage. Like you said, it can affect the child forever, and it's equally and even more disturbing. There's another charge, count 3, again with respect to RF, repeats the same language, second-degree felony, defendant intentionally knowingly inflicted, serious physical injury on a child or caused another to do the same. When I talked about the specific language, this charge says, and such serious physical injury includes conduct toward a child that results in severe emotional harm, severe developmental delay, or intellectual disability, or severe impairment of the child's ability to function. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, again, the statute is kind of pairing all these things out, right? So it's physical abuse, striking the child. It's another category of physical abuse, as malnourishment and withholding food. And now there's this emotional aspect of it. You're emotionally harming this child, again, like you said, in the developmental stage of their life, which could cause permanent damage. These children are probably going to need counseling for a long time, get them back up to a mental capacity where they can thrive, where they can learn, where they can be in school and do well and succeed. And now they are compromised in those areas now. And unless they get help quick and the right kind of help, it could be a permanent disability emotionally based on this type of abuse.
And again, these three charges with respect to RF, they're quite broad, easier for prosecutors to prove that case of harm to the child. And that's what I think is so significant. But I mentioned the 6 points. So we have one last point I wanted to mention with respect to these newly released documents. Talked about the charges with respect to the harm allegedly suffered by RF. Now let's talk about the charges with respect to EF. So 2 of the 3 charges, it looks like, are duplicative of the ones regarding RF, but there is a unique one, count 6. Again, repeats same language, defendant intentionally, knowingly inflicted upon a child, EF, serious physical injury, or caused another person to do it. Now, here's the specific language of this count. And such serious physical injury includes any combination of 2 or more physical injuries inflicted by the same person, either at the same time or on different occasions, in violation, and then it does the Utah code. Wow, that's interesting, because now you're talking about this pattern, right? And very specific about who committed this and when. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because if you look at the first 5, as you said, they're a little more broad, a little more general, and they probably come mainly from the physical examination of these children and the physical observations that you have of these children. Now, this one, because of the specificity that you mentioned, it seems possibly, and to me likely, it came from the interview with the child, because it says the same person inflicted 2 or more of these injuries. So how do you know who inflicted the injury? You can see the evidence of the injury. An emergency room doctor can tell you that, or you can actually see it yourself, the responding officer. But to say that the same person inflicted 2 or more of these things, I would think has to come from the statement of the child. And that's really crucial. That's really eye-opening in this case, because now that tells us, or seems to tell us, that, you know, at least one of these children is cooperating and telling the police what happened, which is a huge hurdle in these cases. It's a huge hurdle to get the kids to actually testify against their parent or their guardian, or their, in this case, their mother's best friend, or whatever role she plays in their lives. But that's a huge hurdle to get over. And hopefully they're having child specialists interview these children and get this kind of information from them. But certainly I think that this last point is very important. It really sheds some light, I think. It's my hunch that information came from one of those children. Well, especially the 10-year-old, it looked like in this case.
I agree with you. You know, Bobby, one of the things that I think about during this case is main issues. How did nobody know this, or people suspected it happening, and they're saying it was a long time coming. I am curious about witnesses in the trial against these 2, because they can come forward and say they observed things, but then why wasn't more done, right? You know, I do wonder about her husband, Kevin. He hasn't been criminally charged. I'm not sure what his knowledge is of all this, but is he going to testify against his wife? If he does, if he knew about the abuse, he could be criminally liable, right? And it makes me wonder, sure, is the prosecution going to have difficulty finding corroborating witnesses, because they're going to be concerned that maybe I made a mistake, maybe I should have came forward, or I don't know. It's still, we're learning the details of it.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, in these type of cases, the only real witnesses are inside that house. They're the other children, the other victims, or the people that are actually carrying it out. And we've seen that over and over again. In this case, we have seen neighbors saying, we've been calling forever. We've been calling the police. We've been calling social services. There were people far back saying, look, some of this stuff she's putting out as parenting advice on the internet, like withholding food from children as a reward system, is not right. And so people have been raising the flag, but unless you witness the abuse, you know, until that 12-year-old broke free from his restraints and got out of that house and ran to a neighbor, you're not going to see it. The neighbors can kind of have an idea. The neighbors can think there's something weird going on in that house. But the ball lies really with social services. If neighbors had, in fact, made those calls to social services, why haven't been, and I understand that even the police or social services went to the house one time, no answer. They just simply attached a piece of paper to the door. We've got to give social services and the police some more aggressive tools in cases like this. Or, as one of the neighbors reportedly told the reporter, said they were surprised that the kids didn't come out of that house in body bags. And eventually that's what's going to happen when you have abuse like this, when it goes unchecked. So social services in these cases have to be more aggressive. I understand they're underfunded, they're undermanned, and they don't have enough people to do all the cases that they have. But in cases like this, they have to be more aggressive. or they have to be given the tools to be more aggressive.
Very well said. I mean, this could have ended much worse. And look, the final point I want to make about this, and I wanted your opinion on it. Ruby Frankie, Jody Hildebrandt, they are innocent until proven guilty. They're going to have a trial. They're going to have a chance to defend themselves if they choose to. But each count that I mentioned, the 6 counts, carries a prison sentence of up to 15 years and a fine of up to $10,000, assuming they are both found guilty across the board. What would a judge do in this case?
Well, I mean, look, it's always my hope that the judge would sentence them on each count consecutively and not concurrently, which means they end one sentence, they stop the other instead of letting them all run together. But all too often we see judges, when the case hasn't ended in the death of a child, be a little lenient on these people. So, it's hard to say. I think a lot of it's going to depend on their attitude and their defense. If they come out, I hate to say it, but if they admit to what they've done and ask for mercy or whatever, or claim some kind of mental defect, that's different than them getting up there and then denying everything. When you have the physical evidence so far, hopefully the children will get the care they need and become good witnesses. That's the problem with these cases, is your only witnesses come from inside that house. They're usually the children. Children have problems with, memory recall, especially if they've had patterns of abuse that have lasted for years. They're going to need help through this process, and you have to separate the process of getting them better and the legal process of getting these people prosecuted. But, they often run together. So my hope as a judge, I hope the judge throws the book at them, because I think a person that can do this kind of systematic long-term abuse of a child, particularly their own child, is so defected in their mind that they should not be, or certainly never allowed to have custody of children again, and probably should spend a long time incarcerated as a penalty for what they've done.
Well, at the time of this recording, Frankie and Hildebrandt are both behind bars. They have an upcoming hearing, and we will continue to follow it here on Sidebar. Bobby Chacon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
All right, guys, I'm back. So, did you guys have fun sitting here thinking if wondering if I had passed out? Hmm, I want to know. Did you really think that video, that stream, bothered me? Because I didn't watch it. I only looked at a little bit of it. Oh yeah, you got trolled. Because I know this whole time, without even looking at any comments on my computer, that is, what people are thinking and saying. Anyways, let's get on to another true crime video. I hope y'all enjoyed that little performance. Oh, me.
When was the last time you either saw, spoke to, or in a way heard from Jody? Has it been a long time?
It's been a long time. I think it was a family member's wedding, like probably over a decade ago.
You were also under her care at one point, right?
Yeah, I was left in her care when I was a teenager. For
Ruby before?
No, I've never met Ruby. This is the first time I've ever even heard of her. I have gone and watched at least some of her videos. They're very difficult to watch just for my own experience with that form of therapy. It's quite triggering, to be honest. So I've never met her, but the things that she is saying and regurgitating are very, very familiar to me. It's interesting to watch I understand this, but it's interesting to watch the world respond to her and kind of putting her as at the forefront. And I understand that she's the mother of these children, and it makes sense. But the philosophies and the therapeutic modalities that she's using are Jody's. And these are not new. These are not this is a pattern that Jody has been engaged with for at least 14 years.
Damn.
I don't know if there are other people that she's used these on, but she's definitely taught. I know that she teaches parents to use these types of therapies, as she would call them. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience watching everyone focus on Ruby, and I understand why, but this is Jody. These are Jody's words. These are Jody's ideas. These are over decades old. So yeah.
Is that why you called Jody the mastermind behind all of this?
Yes. That doesn't excuse Ruby's involvement and her perpetuating these beliefs and these systems, but Ruby didn't come up with this. Ruby obviously supports it and has used these on her children, but this is coming from Jody.
In short, can you describe what you mean? Like, which practices are you talking about, just to make sure we're clear, because I know there's a lot out there. So which ones are you talking about that you've seen, that you're hearing about pertaining to her children, that you're familiar with too?
Sure, yeah. So the things that I experienced while living with Jody, I experienced being tied, I experienced being duct taped, I experienced being blindfolded, I experienced severe isolation, I experienced severe emotional, spiritual, and psychological abuse. I experienced being told I shouldn't be around other people, being told that I was dangerous to be around. I
Oh my God.
was people were afraid of me to the point where I was afraid of myself. I was physically, I was forced to sleep outside in the snow. I was, like I said,
What?
isolated for up to 12 hours a day. If someone spoke to me
Oh.
directly, if I wasn't wearing duct tape on my mouth, I had to just stare at them and not respond, because she also had systems of people that would report back to her if I broke any of these rules. And her whole thing, which is deeply, darkly ironic, is that everything stems from shame, and how horrible shame is, and that all of the reason.
I bet you they use video uploading as a form of shame too on them.
Like all of mental illness, all tics, so like OCDs, addiction, everything stems from shame, which is just horrifying, because she is the greatest perpetuator of shame. She also, and this is like a very deep connection, and why I chose to come forward to the media rather than just staying with the podcast. She accused me of being a sex addict. She accused me of being addicted to masturbation, to the point where I wasn't allowed to, I mentioned this on the podcast, to the point where I wasn't allowed to use tampons. I never was allowed privacy unless I was isolated. So that included the bathroom. I was never allowed to have the door closed, because she was convinced that I was just constantly masturbating. She was convinced that I was addicted to porn. I had never seen porn at that point in my life. I didn't even know that people with my anatomy could masturbate. Like I had no idea any of this stuff, but I just believed her, because everything, like one, she used religion and God as a mode of control, and a mode to manipulate. And so I just believed all of these things. So her ability to convince you of these neuroticisms and these behaviors. And so a child in that position of being told this over and over and over and over again, which I'm certain he was, stood no chance. She also, because of what the abuse and torturing that was going on, and the belief that she had that I was doing something more. So her rationale to the severity of these punishments and this physical and emotional abuse was, she wanted to make my life, this is like her quote, like this is what she would tell me all of the time. She wanted to make my life so uncomfortable that it would force the sin out, that it would force me to confess. So things continuously got worse and worse, and progressively more and more intense, as a way to get me to confess, because she believed that if I had confessed everything, if all of my sins were out and in the open, that I would be getting better. And I was declining like very fast, exponentially. And so she just kept ramping it up. And so to hear Ruby tell the world that her child is a sex addict and has been addicted to porn since he was 3 years old, it just echoes exactly the things that she was telling me and telling everyone
what I say
around me. And I know that I think if I don't know if I got this right, but I'm pretty sure that she's saying that he even confessed to it. Well, I also confessed to things that I didn't do as a way of trying to get the abuse to stop. Because when she's like drilling it into you, both psychologically and physically, that there's more, and it will stop once you tell her, because that's what she would tell you. Like in the middle of the abuse, she'd be like, I'll stop as soon as you tell me. As soon as you tell me what's going on, like what you did. Oh, she was also convinced that I had had abortions. She was convinced she made me do 12-step because she was convinced I was an addict, like a drug addict as well. I'd never done drugs. I'd never had sex. Again, I didn't know that masturbation was even possible. I had no idea what these things were. So I just started making things up as a way, as like trying to get this to stop, because I had no one there to help me and to save me. And I think on the podcast, I was making things up. And when I spoke to the detective down in St. George days ago, I told her that, like, and so even if he had confessed, it cannot be taken seriously because this child was being tortured. And I'm certain that she echoed those words of like, if you tell me, I will stop. So what is happening, it just echoes so close to home of what she did to me. And the repercussions, the emotional and physical repercussions of those actions, like the fact that she can, because the thing that's so sinister about this is that it can't be disproven. So even if nothing, even if like she goes to prison, you know, his name is cleared, it will never be fully cleared because it cannot be disproven. So this is going to potentially follow him for the rest of his life. So even with those children being taken out of her care, she is still abusing them. And so with whatever is happening, whatever did happen, I can guarantee you it's not what she's saying.
Her business, Connections Classroom, is this the same approach she uses for all of her patients as well? They're not family or not Ruby's kids, as far as you know?
I don't know the intricacies of what she promotes and what she teaches on Connections Classroom. If it's anything even close, then I mean, I'm certain that there's going to be parallels. I'm certain, I know that she believes that all shame should be punished. And I know that like that, so like, I wouldn't be surprised. I really don't know. I've stayed away as much as possible from her and her world to just heal and to try to salvage any life that I could possibly live post living with her.
With that said, it sounds like this wasn't really a secret, though. Obviously, you knew about these teachings. Other people in her family, probably both families I've been hearing, knew about some of these practices or had heard of. Why do you think it took to 2023 for a child to escape, go to a neighbor's house, call 911, and now this is a thing? Like, why did it take this long?
I think it's a combination of quite a few things. One, the church supports her. She's been promoted by the church, and people trust the church. Members trust their bishops, they trust their stake presidents, and a lot of these people, most people that are going to therapy, if not all, are in a vulnerable position. And she is remarkably convincing. She is also terrifying if you cross her, because she has and will systematically destroy your life. She destroys your reputation. She destroys any of your credibility. So even because there are definitely people that have been speaking out against her. I mean, she lost her license because of someone speaking out in 2012. Like, this is not, she's not just, everyone's not just been like, okay, yeah, for sure, fair game, free for all. People have been criticizing her. That's just that no one has listened. Because one, we have a culture of people not believing children and not trusting children. And also children trust their parents, and then the parents trust the church. So there's been, and Jody, what she does so tricky is that she utilizes and uses whatever is available. So if you go to her with OCD, if you go to her with severe depression, she'll use that information as a way of control. Oh, you have OCD because you have deep-rooted shame. And those tics are happening because the shame has nowhere to go. And so it's coming out in this, like, this neuroticism.
Damn.
And then, or let's say like, you told her that you lied, which is a normal human thing that we've all done. That doesn't make you a liar. Oh, well, you lied. You're a liar. Now everything you say is a lie and you can't be trusted. And she also separates people. She keeps people so they can't talk and corroborate. Like, it is so vile and tricky and ingenious. Like, Jody is she is a very unwell person. I don't know her exact diagnoses, but I know that she's been diagnosed with a plethora of things. And yeah, so it's devastating because I went forward as well. I mean, I went to the police when I was 16. I tried to do what I could, and no one believed me, because why would they? She destroyed my credibility. I was an angry teenager, and now I'm just you're just like an emotional, angry teenager and she had told people that I destroyed my family's life, that I destroyed my dad's life, that every person I come in contact, I destroy. So she sets up the premise. And then when I come forward and try to tell people, like, this is what's happening, she can be like, oh, see, Jesse's trying to destroy my life is what they do. It just all adds up. So she's so good at protecting those loopholes and discrediting people.
Is that why you think maybe other members of both families still won't speak out publicly about this right now and are staying quiet? Or do you think it's a fear thing or just want to stay out of it? Is there any thought process on that?
I can't speak to why people aren't. I know the culture of my family. I think that it's probably probably a number of things. Some people, I think it's just that they themselves have been harmed so much by her, and they want to stay. They just want to live their life and not be dragged into this. Other members, it could be fear. I can't say. All I can say, and again, the only reason I'm coming forward, I was not planning on coming forward to the media other than just doing the podcast interview, is when I heard that Ruby accused her child of this, because and I just hope that this can give the public some context and some clarity of what is happening and why they should not believe her.
So 6 charges of aggravated child abuse. That's what's on the table. I'm sure you're not a legal expert. I'm not either, but I've talked to a number of attorneys just kind of about this case, more about the hype of the case, because it's obviously gotten a ton of attention because of Ruby's profile, right? Because of the high profile aspect of the YouTube channel. And that's why I think it's interesting we're talking about Jodi, because Ruby's got, as you mentioned, is getting the spotlight in a weird way. And Jodi, as you mentioned, is behind a lot of the tactics. Do you feel like 6 felony charges, I mean, in your mind, is that enough punishment for what is alleged against them?
I mean, I think that, I mean, including my own child abuse that I experienced, I mean, I want justice and I want fair justice. So I want everything that she has done, that both of them have done, to be held accountable. Whether that be 6, 12, 18, however many, I just want to see that she is held accountable for the things that she has done. Because, but I personally believe that that is not covering everything that she's done. And I can say that because I know that she's not being held accountable for what she did to me. In the legal system, I mean.
How closely are you following this? Are you looking every day to see if there's something new that's put out? I mean, where is your mindset at with the case, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm not following it every single day. I'm trying to navigate just my own emotional safety in all of this. I'm trying to stay up to date. I have people that have sent me things that feel a little bit more safe in being more aware of what's going on. And so like when something big does come out, like with Ruby's accusations, someone sent that to me. And I was sitting in the parking lot of Lowe's and I started having a panic attack because it was just so directly similar. I mean, the exact thing. This is exactly what she does. This is what Jodi does. And so now, because she's painted him as this thing, regardless of what comes out, like he's no longer, I mean, I think hopefully the public can see through this and the judge can see through this. But that's the goal, is so that anything that he says is now no longer credible.
What do you think the public will ultimately take away from these two as it pertains to the court proceedings and such?
I mean, I just hope that Jodi is not sidelined in this, because she is so connected to what is happening. And yes, Ruby needs to be held accountable because she made those choices. She's just as guilty. But Jodi's been doing this for much longer and has had patterns and history in this. So I just really, really hope that, yes, Ruby is the focus because of her high profile and because they're her children. But those children were, as far as I'm aware, I hope I got this right, were in Jodi's care. Like, this isn't, I just so hope that even though Ruby's the focus, I just hope that Jodi is not, that she's not able to slink away and just kind of fade into the background because she's the foundation.
It's interesting. Oh, we're here. Please. Move the mic. It was almost. I know you guys are mad. I didn't fall asleep. Got 12 of you in here watching. Let's put some songs on. I want to do that challenge.
We got a gorilla from hell. Gorilla from hell. We got a gorilla from hell. It's out.
Need to take this off. There we go. Yes, fix it.
Welcome to the security trip. Fuck you, bitch, I'm getting in. Bitch, I'ma get in the club with no charge. Hit the bar and then go hard. 3 bottles in the 6-pack. Is that all you drink? Bitch, so far. Got a couple $100 tab pussy. Liquor feeling like an ambush. Fuck on your bitch, we been playing for dick. Even if it's a hoes ass pimp. Heap dick, she deep throw. Make bitch need Rico. Drip. Six up. Bitch, I'm getting in. Like a gorilla from hell thuggin'. Step in the club, we on me muggin'. Bottle of liquor that we been chugging. Fat fucker today. Down, she bust it all. With the pussy, just when I hold it, rub it real fast. Rub it slow motion, bring it back. If I'm real, don't hold it, ready to fuck. Zilla been chosen, licking the over. He's so tight, consider it golden. Beating it up, she's she's pulling it out. She splash like the oceans. A gorilla. Yeah. Stop the drip. Take a sip. Trying to say welcome with a security trip. Fuck you, bitch, I'm getting in. Look at me like a thumbtack. Put the tongue on your wife, she gon' come back. And if a hubby walks on the scene, we gonna say, I even use a bath towel for the comrade. Loose safe and they poop in the door, say dishes. I'm about to swim with the fish, you need a dish. Matter of fact, come lick that off. Take my pick because the liquor made my dick get soft. And then get me off. I hit with a girl, I can't believe I hit that. And if I hit that bar, goddamn girl, I know that I can hit that right. The yingling and ying. Ying, we back and bottom, I'ma take a sip. Trying to stay with yeah, search. Fucking bitch, I'm getting.
Hold on a second. Let me do this.
Well, hello, good morning, little sunshine. Good morning. You finally getting up, Bubba? Coming at your crate? Yeah, you sitting there stretching. Stretch.
That's what I do when I wake up. I stretch and yawn. Stretch. Ronnie does the same thing. He's over there opening his mouth, going, oh. Now you're getting some water. Love my little dog. People know and see how much I love him, and they won't talk about, oh,
Gonna do this, gonna do that. Have him taking that mud. Blah, 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 man. He ain't mud.
he's got two major breeds that make up majority of his DNA, so to be classified as a mutt, he'd have to have two or more. So he'd have to have like 3, 4 different breeds, you know. That would be a majority, and it's not a, like I said, the majority of his DNA is between two breeds. Oh, go on. Oh, I guess I have to do it this. Ah, come on. There it is. Let's do this.
Yeah, yeah, I'm back up on my grind. Back up on my grind. Back up on my grind. Q-stick, Houstonian henchman. Okay, I'm back up on my grind. 365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'm a goddess. Thin line between love, thin line between hate, thin line between love and line between hate. Grind, 365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'm a goddess. Thin line between ain't a friend of me. You ain't a friend of me. Must be the enemy. Must be the enemy. Murder me, Kennedy. Murder me, Kennedy. Negative energy. Negative energy. Put the money in the safe. Yeah. Destination in a race. Yeah. Hey, I'm really feeling great. Yeah. Even though they wanna hate. Yeah. Why you making a mistake? Yeah. I just wanna eat a steak. Yeah. Love will turn into a hate. Yeah. I just need to take a break. Yeah. I just wanna go into the studio and get a studio bag. Yeah. You just wanna get into the video, practice hard looking mad. Yeah. No hugs, no handshakes, bullet wounds and band-aids. No love for more love for thin line between hate. On my grind, 365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'ma goddess. Thin line between love, between hate, between love, thin line between hate. Grind, 365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'ma goddess. Thin line between love, thin line between hate, thin line between love, thin line between.
You got love and you got hate. The line is very thin. Love them while they living. Don't wait until the end. Hate who you gon' hate. Now listen, you know I be scheming on all of my demons. Not too much of either. You gotta keep a balance. I know when to do right. I know when to be a savage. Love is stronger than hate, so just choose wisely. I know who love me, so don't surprise me. The hate be hating, but they do best. I show nothing but love. I don't care about the rest. I'm a guy, boy, I'm a guy. I be on my grind, 365.
365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'm a goddess. Thin line between love, thin line between hate, thin line between love, thin line hate. Grind, 365, 24/7. I'ma shine, I'ma dine, I'm a goddess. Thin line between love, thin line between hate, thin line between love, thin line hate.
All right, and we are back. Let's see. We got. Oh, do we got anything we want to view? I don't know. I got an idea. We're going to take a turn away from true crime now. Go to another video. It's going to be decided that I'm not gonna. It's going to be my. I'm gonna still have obviously keep this channel open, but y'all won't be seeing more posts coming from this one very soon. Okay, so we're gonna go over. Because anytime I transition, I have to get out of the habit of doing something. So work. All right, let's check this out. Yeah, that's the way I'm doing.
I don't know. And, something I want to get straight, about the Sammy the Bull. I mean, I'm not sure if she was talking about the mob Sammy the.
Mm, don't have anything open. Hold on. That might be it right there. I didn't know I had that open. There we go.
Bull. She could have been talking about a big black bull, and we just got it mixed up. Not sure, but it could have been a big black bull and not Sammy the bull. Or maybe the big black bull's named Sammy. Oh, Sammy will pour the cock to your mammy type of bull,
So in this video, we got an idiot from, sadly, state of Missouri getting a dead person's grandmother tattooed on their ass cheek. This is the most idiotic shit I've ever seen. Because the only thing it serves is the person that you're getting it on your ass. Unless you're gonna go out in assless chaps, that's not like a tattoo that you can show off. So, you gotta really be committed to hating somebody to be able to do something like that.
I have no idea. But I will get to the bottom of it for you, Gene. I'm just that guy.
To get a permanent mark on
I like to give back to the community. And this evening, we're giving back old Leatherface, wig-wearing Elma Siggy. The glue to the Gene team family. Well, I don't guess really the Gene team family. She definitely was Gene's glue. I think glue might mean the bread and butter. She probably was giving him a few dobbies and
Filthy, you're a fucking imbecile piece of shit. You know that? I had thought that I had came across a lot of every now and then a new true crime video comes out of something awful that some yahoo has done. And I'm always amazed. Each time, more and more amazed and laugh. And, but, but with you, it's not like that, see, because you do the same, even if it's new stuff, it's the same type of stuff. So it don't surprise me. It just with each action you do, just reconfirms more and more the type of the guy you are. You're a coward. You're pathetic the way you have to attack people from basically behind and send you little minions off to do stuff. You're a coward.
when old wig wearing Leatherface looking ass died, the old dobbies went away. No more dobbies, Gene. No more dobbies. I did write a memorial to Elma. To get it uploaded, which y'all seen it before. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but It was beautiful. Talking about how her and Tyrone used to come and see him. You know, Gene Glover, Tyrone was the only two people that ever went to see him while he was locked.
It's funny. Now, Gene, I mean, he came up with the bullshit that I had a lover, one of my friends. And now he's come up with, oh, Gene's got a lover too. This dude, one of the main things he does when he attacks guys is he calls them, thinks by calling them gay and faggots that's gonna, do something, that's really gonna set something off, and bother him.
Locked up in prison. Hell of a good woman, folks. Hell of a good woman. But looks like we're getting closer here. You cannot rush an artist, folks. Now calm down. We're not going to have no pushing in here. Just now calm down. Everybody, single file. The restrooms is to the right. We got the punch bowl over to the left. And that is great punch. It's we ain't having no lean up in this motherfucker, Gene. Just because you like to get all purged up on the fucking lean, we will not have the members of the Workyverse doing any lean. We just cannot
Well,
have
of course not. I mean, you guys are tight asses. You could never relax and have fun, let loose. Your idea of fun is degrading dead people.
You know? Well, it wasn't really in the budget, folks, but hey, we're not going to have it if it was.
No, their budget has to consist of correct.
Little
They got to
buddy,
be able to
little buddy, you calm down over
pay
there.
their people to keep
Calm
doing
down over there, little buddy.
bullshit.
Roadhead Roberta is tired out. We'll resume the horse rides here in a little bit.
Oh yeah, nothing like
Frothing up
also
at the mouth.
going after a guy's mother too.
Just park her over there to the right, little buddy, and let her make some poo-poo for Iceman to play in.
Oh yeah, 'cause that's funny.
Slap a feed bag over her head. We got to get that poo-poo worked up there for the Iceman. Wanting to make it Lincoln Log and probably do G.I. Joe. So, oh, dang. That really, I'm just really tore up over that. Nobody gives a fuck about you, Gene. You're just another fucking loser on here that's lost every fucking game you ever played. You fucking washed up in the fucking music business. You're a fucking wire picker-upper for an electrician company. I mean, the minute they let you plug in a damn power tool, you damn near electrocuted yourself that day. I mean, I heard it even singed your dreadlocks up. Now, I haven't been able to verify that. I hope you get into that fucking 220. It fucking curls her hair and shocks your balls and shit all over your overalls. Well, that would be them 1980 parachute pants that your grandmother bought you. But Gene, you're not part of this community. I mean, you need to go over there with washed up Uncle Vic and keep letting Bird do the pre-show. That way she can get her whole 7 people over to Vic's so he can brag about having 1,000 people across.
I mean, so what's the deal with some of your people having a couple thousand, but only ever having just 100 people in there?
4 platforms.
What's the deal with that?
When I can restream your fucking show and pull higher numbers than the show that you're actually doing, that should tell you a lot, Gene. The people you have over there is to troll you, just like when Square wants to set the record.
It doesn't matter who's all actually I mean, yeah, I guess it does if that's what you're doing. If you're just doing, these lives just for the sake of audience and but I back in when I did stuff on the phone, you would normally upload it like that. This is a way, and that's the way I prefer to upload content. I mean, it's just more convenient to hit live because it automatically records as you go. But I don't know what you mean by that, because you act like that I'm not still setting things straight. It doesn't matter if everyone that attends is people that perpetuated the bullshit. They inevitably have to hear the truth if they sit here and listen to it. And whether or not they choose to understand and accept it as another story, but they have to hear it. And you can't say that every single person that you know 100% is your people. And even if it was, it doesn't matter. Because other people are going to come by and see it later on. If I keep it up, which I'm keeping my stuff up now, or it's on unlisted, which is still technically kind of up, just not accessible.
Straight. Well, you're talking to us, Square.
Yeah, I know I'm talking to y'all sometimes. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you demonstrated that you constantly have a thought scheduled to be able to get ahead and snipe.
Oh, it ain't the last you're going to hear from me, Gene. You know what? You leave fucking Square alone, it could be that
See
way.
there?
But since you didn't, that's what brought us here today. So, you did this, Gene. Ain't nobody to blame but yourself.
He did it.
And them roasts, speaking of a roast, well, get one the size of a 5-gallon bucket for this slop-eating hog up here on cam. I like how Gene thinks he has a roast when he's over there begging people from the workyverse to come get on his fucking panel because he knows he don't have any fucking content. That's why he's willing to let people up on the panel because he knows wherever we go, the numbers fucking follow. I mean, you don't see me asking them to come over here. Yeah, I wanted them to come up and tell me 3 good reasons why we shouldn't go through with this, just so I could tell them, fuck you and your dad ass grandmother. That was my only reason.
That is
I don't like the motherfucker.
sociopathic.
He's always been a chicken shit son of a bitch. When me, him, and Iceman rode together, he was a fucking chicken shit. Things got hot on the panel. He got the fuck out. He's always worried we might take it too far or say something.
Oh, but whenever y'all put pressure on people to get them off panels and away from me, they're not chicken shits. They're doing the right thing and leaving your property alone. Funny how that works.
And, that really never was one of my concerns. Still ain't. But he'd always run out. That's why when Gene went live back then, if you noticed, Iceman was like the Mocon today on Gene's panel. Gene tries to stay away from Mocon. Back then, Gene was pulling better numbers than Ice, and he would distance himself from him. Of course, he could have known about him playing in poopy till he was 12. So, I mean, I got to shoot it straight. Maybe that's the reason why.
Oh, this fucking dumbass. I swear. I mean, what do people really honestly think about this guy? Other than fucking people from his camp. You guys honestly see this guy as somebody that is kick. I don't even see how his own people think that he's anything more than just a fucking like a villain set up from some fucking show or some drama. Like, what has he done other than try to cause havoc? Is that what you have to do to get cool points today? For so-called respect, loyalty for loyalty's sake, regardless of what the person does?
Let me stop this cam here. I don't want to make y'all people sick or run people off.
That's why you had it going for as long as you did.
I think y'all got the picture of what she looks like. Hell, they might be shaving Seth's whole fucking body down there. Now, I know he's a Sasquatch, but Jesus. I mean, I could have mailed a hedge trimmer down there if that's what we needed to get to some skin. Yeah, some people ain't had their dinner, little buddy. I mean, that was very hypocritical and inconsiderate of me. Definitely. You heard anything, Brookie? I think Brookie's in contact with Seth.
Oh, God. I don't know what could be. Let me see if I've got anything else I can close. Why it's giving me any hassle.
It says your microphone ain't connected, hellbilly.
Oh, God, not the fucking dude that beats his nephew.
I have to drop out and try to come back. It says it's not connected. Move around a little bit, try to get the better service.
Oh, me. Why we keep having those? It's just fucking internet, y'all.
Can you hear me, Seth? Seth. Hey, Seth. I'm going to remove you and you come back in, Seth. I don't know what's going on here. It won't let Hellbilly hook up. It says your mic's not connected, Hellbilly.
You know what that is, Filthy? That's called a sign. Shouldn't be doing the bullshit you're doing, but you don't care. You don't care to do what you do. Isn't that what you always say? You don't care. If you dox one of our people, and we're gonna dox all your people, and we don't give a fuck about your kid. You don't even have to dox one of our people. All you gotta do is look like Square, or sound like him, or hang out with him, have him on a panel, shoot the shit with him, talk to him, anything like that at all, and you're gonna fuck around and find out. Yeah.
Oh, it's no bluff, Gene.
We're gonna get your grandma's tattoo on our ass. Yeah.
It's no bluff on Bird either. Y'all gonna find out that this week. It ain't no fucking bluff.
I wasn't able to get the shit.
Sort of know I don't fucking
The
bluff.
shit I tried to do that was wrong last week, I didn't
That's
I
for
didn't
people
get
like
to do,
fucking
so I'm
Bird.
gonna try to get it done this
Talks a
week.
big game. He never produced a motherfucking thing. Sort of same as you. Maybe you two's meant for each other. Fucking little and lard. Y'all two go together well.
Filthy, you're the one that's got a lard. You know, you like to call my granddad lard ass.
Yeah, Seth and Hellbilly both popped up. I was able to
You're
add
the
Seth,
one with the
but he
lard.
didn't have no video or audio. Can't add Hellbilly. It says microphone not connected.
Oh, maybe because you don't need to do what you're doing.
Guess we're having a bit of technical difficulties. But as long as that fucking tattoo gun's running down there, at the end of the day,
That's all that
that's
matters
really
to
what
you.
matters.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Can you hear me now, Hellbilly?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Can you hear? It might
Yeah,
be my
I
mic.
hear you.
We just got. Oh, right on. We just got a break in the rain here, brother. Just came up to say, "Fuck, Dun Genius. This is gonna be great. His granny is gonna be baby Seth's booty." This.
Listen, the dude's literally got excitement in his voice somehow. Now, had to be his grandmother. Oh, he might not react publicly because he might have enough presence of mind where he don't want to give him none of that. But deep down, it affected him.
Is all. Appreciate you, Filthy.
All right, buddy.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. And the poor tattoo artist has got to touch that hairy ass. I couldn't get paid enough to tattoo somebody, a grown man tiny. But we're here watching. Y'all have a
Alrighty.
great night. And fuck Gene. When he, yes, sir, came into the damn community and Cammy's old Johnny Gobbles nuts, being a little piece of shit. He's always gonna be shit. That's what he is. But we're here for it. Have a
All
good.
right, buddy.
I'll be in the chat or at least watching. All right, buddy.
All right.
You can tell Hillbilly, he wanted you to get the fuck up off there. He did not want you up there, man. I mean, do we need to go back over? I mean, well, we can go back over a little bit of.
About a grown man tiny. But we're here watching.
All
Y'all have a
righty.
great night and fuck Gene.
That right there, that alrighty is like, get the fuck off. That's what he's saying to your bitch ass. Because he views you as a low-cal, really. See, I done figured it out what makes a low-cal in Filthy's definition. Really, it has to do with people and whether they view you as that or not. You get the right type of people that influence others, they get them to agree with them. So that's one part of it. The other part, if you have any controversy online or videos come out, personal videos get ridiculed or questioned or anything like that, which happened to Hillbilly, then in his eyes, you're a low-cal. All right, Hillbilly?
Yes, sir. Came into the damn community.
Hey, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
And came,
Yeah.
he's old Johnny Gobbles nuts, being a little piece of shit. He's always gonna be shit. That's what he is. But we're here for.
And you're always going to be a little drunk bitch.
Have a
All
good.
right, buddy.
I'll be in the chat or at least watching. All right, buddy.
All right. Yeah, I think that was Seth popped up earlier, but I did have the banner up, so I'm sure they're trying some fuckery, and the way I've got my stream yard set up, you don't have to verify them. Anybody can hop up, cause we're not bitches over here,
Well, if you're not bitches, then why do you put a banner up? Obviously, you're worried about being porn bombed. I mean, you ain't gonna have to worry about being porn bombed much longer. Pretty soon, just based on the fact that what you do is what you do is gonna get your channel down.
We'll let people up if they want to come up. Other than cows, I mean, what's the need to have a cow up here? Tonight was your special night, Gene. You done fucked up, my guy. You don't never get to come on the show again. Just think, Gene, you got to speak in front of 100 people, something you never got to do on a fucking live.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Fucked up, my guy. Another L for you. What the hell? You think you'll ever be able to spell anything with all them L's? Other than fucking loser?
So clever.
Have you heard anything, Brookie? I don't know if you're still in the chat here or not.
Well, he's sweating that shit, ain't he? He's really putting that.
Hey,
He's worried,
can
ain't
you
he?
hear me? So
Yes.
Seth is getting on the table as we speak. I just wanted to come up and let you know real quick.
Okay.
So, yep, and Miss Squatch is setting up a phone for him. So he should
Okay.
be arriving anytime.
He just popped up. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. I'll be
All
down.
righty. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let me get this banner down, Seth. These people want some live action. All righty.
What up, Fieldy?
What's up, buddy?
Well, you see where I'm at? Yeah, it's going down.
Well, you at the garage?
Yeah, I'm at the garage. I'm getting my oil checked.
Okay.
So, there we go.
What you need to do.
Yeah, this is cool. That dude's got a nice shop, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been around for a minute. It's yeah. I mean, it's pretty nice. It's been here for almost 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a well respected.
Yep, established place. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I also want to shout out the artist Gabriel. Fucking shout him out. He's fucking down for it. He's all about it. So yeah.
He's all about it.
Yeah, I told him what was up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm getting the Sling Ink, and it's for a good cause."
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely,
It's for a good man. Well, how do you call that? It's for a good cause. If I ever heard some bullshit,
shout him out and get up
for a good cause. Did he tell the dude what he's really getting it for? Or did he lie to him and try to pass off as some fucking memorial as if that'd be a problem? Come on.
up on the community page and tell
I forgot I
people if
said
they're in
something
that
during that.
area.
Yeah, what's his fucking tattoo shop? Let's fucking put a bunch of negative reviews on it. I forgot I talked during this. Didn't know that. Hadn't talked up till now. Oh, I wish this thing would stop having to fucking buffer. It's so long and internet must be fucking dragging this morning.
Facts. Hey, and maybe you get a Jean's grandma code with it. Who knows? Like mention Seth's ass, get 10% off or something. I don't know.
We'll settle for 3%.
We'll settle for 3 is the way. There you go. There you go. That's fucking funny. Oh, Leatherface will live on forever. Facts.
Yeah.
He's a fat, old, miserable fucking bastard. Dude is getting old as shit.
If you enjoying this as much as me, Gene, this is great. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck them, right? And it's free. I mean, it wasn't free. You got to have a motherfucker move, but yeah. See, I took one for the Durkee versus Disabled Man. I love y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to hear that guns.
Yeah, nothing says love like getting a fucking tattoo of another dude's dead grandmother on your ass. I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Like
Hopefully
mention
this
Seth-
fucking loads better.
Let's ask, get 10% off or something. I don't know.
We'll settle for 3%. 3 is
We'll
the
settle
way.
for 3 is the way. There you go. There you go. That's fucking funny. Oh, Leatherface will live on forever. Facts.
Yeah.
He's a fat, old, miserable fucking bastard. Dude is getting old as shit.
If you enjoying this as much as me, Gene, this is great. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck them, right? And it's free ink. I mean, it wasn't free. You got to have a motherfucker move, but yeah. See, I took one for the Durkee versus Disabled Man. Guys.
Don't motherfuck me, I'll motherfuck you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear that gun start singing.
I know that's what I'm excited about. If I go to sleep, my bed, because I like the sound of a fucking tattoo gun.
Oh, no, no. That must mean you go to sleep, then you're on drugs, boy.
I don't think Jane's going to care a lot for it, but hey, that'll be okay too.
Right, my butt cheek will never be the same. Yeah. Yeah, I ate this morning. And I ate on the way here as well. Whoops. So. And I also got me a chicken sandwich in there just in case.
Did you really bring the chicken sandwich?
I brought a fucking chicken sandwich in there. I sure the fuck did, filthy.
Oh yeah, well, we're going to do it up
I
right.
mean, just in case, we're gonna do it right. Like, I mean, I love grandma, So yeah. Said like the vibration on his ass, Rick. Oh shit. Yeah. No. Apparently I missed a spot, so he's getting out the weed eater.
Ah, shit. May have to restart this.
Yeah.
Hopefully it keeps doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Gene, he come over for a little bit. Yeah, he's like, it's just a prank. It's another prank.
Great.